Good morning. It is Saturday morning, AA day. So open the soda. So good morning, everybody. Get the meeting going. I'm live on Facebook and YouTube. So just a couple of things I ask is no judgment, please. This is a non-judgmental area, a safe space for people to share their journey on being sober or how they may have come across AA to help a friend or a family member. So please be mindful, don't judge other people, and just because they're in the chat doesn't mean that they are the alcoholic. And if you are a drinker, you're still welcome here regardless, because after all, it is Alcoholics Anonymous. But if you do not have the same problem as I do, and that is alcoholism, then you're still welcome here anyway. So, with that, let's say our serenity prayer and get the meeting going. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Hopefully y'all can hear me and see me good. So if you're wondering, I do put in the description on my YouTube channel what page we are reading, what book, what story or tradition or step we are reading, and what book and the page number. And when I'm done with the meeting, I'll say the serenity prayer and then read the daily reflections, and then I will post it on my Facebook wall. So thank you all for coming, and I'm Sandra and I'm an alcoholic. 1. We admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2. Came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3. Made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. 4. Made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5. Admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6. We're entirely ready to have God remove all these defective characters. 7. Humbly ask Him to remove our shortcomings. 8. Made a list of all persons which had harmed and become willing to make amends to them all. Copper. That's annoying. Thank you for your 2 seconds of cooperation. That's all I got. 9. May direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. 10. Continue to take personal inventory and when wrong, properly admit it. 11. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood Him, praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out. 12. Having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to alcoholics and to practice these principles in all our affairs. Today I'm not going to read the traditions. I'm just going to read the tradition 10 that we are reading right now. On page 176. Sorry. Tradition 10. Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. Never since I began has Alcoholics Anonymous been divided by a major controversial issue, nor has our fellowship ever publicly taken sides on any question in an embattled world. This, however, has been no earned virtue. It could almost be said that we were born with it. For as one old-timer recently declared, practically never have I heard a heated religious, political, or reform argument among AA members. So long as we don't argue these matters privately, it's a cinch we never shall publicly. As by some deep instinct, we AAs have known from the very beginning that we must never, no matter what the provocation, publicly taken sides in any fight, even a worthy one. All history affords us the spectacle of striving nations and groups finally torn asunder because they were designed for, or tempted into controversy. Others fell apart because of sheer self-righteousness, while trying to enforce upon the rest of mankind some millennium of their own specifications. In our own times we have seen millions die in political and economic wars, often spurred by religious or racial differences. We live in the imminent possibility of a fresh Holocaust to determine how men shall be governed, and how the products of nature and toil shall be divided among them. That is the spiritual climate in which AA was born, and by God's grace has nevertheless flourished. Let us re-emphasize that this reluctance to fight one another or anybody else is not counted as some special virtue which makes us feel superior to other people, nor does it mean that the members of Alcoholics Anonymous, now restored as citizens of the world, are going to back away from their individual responsibilities to act as they see the right upon issues of our time. But when it comes to AA, as a whole, that's quite a different matter. In this respect, we do not enter into public controversy because we know that our society will perish if it does. We conceive the survival of spread of Alcoholics Anonymous to be something of far greater importance than the weight we could collectively throw back of any other cause. Since recovery from alcoholism is life itself to us, it is imperative that we preserve in full strength our means of survival. Maybe this sounds as though the alcoholics in AA had suddenly gone peaceable and become one great big happy family. Of course, this isn't so at all. Human beings that we are, we squabble. Before we leveled off a bit, AA looked more like one prognosis squabble than anything else, at least on the surface. A corporation director who had just voted a company expenditure of $100,000 would appear at an AA business meeting and blow his top over an outlay of $25 worth of needed postage stamps, disliking the attempt of some to manage a group half its members might angrily rush off to form another group, more to their liking. Elders temporarily turned mercies have sulked. Bitter attacks have been directed against people suggested of mixed motive. Despite their dim, our puny rose never did a practical of harm. They were just part of parcel of learning to work and live together. Let it be noted, too, that they are almost always concerned with ways to make AA more effective, how to do the most good for the most alcoholics. The Washington Society, a movement among alcoholics which started in Baltimore a century ago, almost discovered the answer to alcoholism. At first, the society was composed entirely of alcoholics trying to help one another. The early members foresaw that they should dedicate themselves to the sole aim. In many respects, the Washingtonians were akin to AA of today. Their membership passed the 100,000 mark. Had they been left to themselves and had they stuck to their one goal, they might have found the rest of the answer, but this didn't happen. Instead, the Washingtonians permitted politicians and reformers, both alcoholic and non-alcoholic, to use the society for their own purpose. Abolition of slavery, for example, was a stormy political issue then. Soon, Washingtonian speakers violently and publicly took sides of this question. Maybe the society could have survived the abolition controversy, but it didn't have a chance from the moment it determined to reform Americans' drinking habits. When the Washingtonians became temperance crusaders within a very few years, they had completely lost their effectiveness in helping alcoholics. The lesson to be learned from the Washingtonians was not overlooked by Alcoholics Anonymous. As we surveyed the wreck of that movement, early AA members resolved to keep one society out of public controversy. Thus was laid the cornerstone for Tradition 10. Alcoholics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the AA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. And the thing I can say about the outside issues is political, religious, any of it can turn people away quick. I mean, quicker than you can blink. Because a lot of people, when they first come to AA, they don't want to hear about the God thing, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to, for the most part, for me anyways, I didn't talk when I first started. I was non-talkative. I had nothing to say. I had already known for over a year that I was an alcoholic, and so I knew what I was there for before I went. What I didn't know was that I would not be judged, that I would not be treated like other people, like an outsider. I did not know that I would gain friends. I didn't know that AA would work. I didn't know a lot of things. I didn't know that I could stay sober this long. I knew I could do a year because I had already done that once. But that was without AA. And that was still having my family at arm's length away. Because some of them still drank at that time. Now, some of them is meaning one of them was my twin sister, my best friend, my neighbor, the person I talked to the most. And having her come and be sober with me has been a very big blessing to both of us. It's not one-sided, it is both of us. Our relationship has grown more than it was before we ever started our drinking career. And it has been 9 years of not perfectly getting along all the time. That is not, I mean, you just can't get that, okay? Siblings fight all the time. They have their squabbles. I mean, we still to this day have our arguments. But we do know that the sooner we realize, okay, this was my part in that argument, and now I need to go make my amends for that. Now, you can't make amends for somebody else's part. That's up to the other person. And just like in the beginning days of AA for my sister and I both, learning to make our amends has to be how we see and feel safe to do that. So it might take a while for us to make amends to someone. Certainly there's been times that I've been mad at her that I was like, I'm not talking to her again. Yeah, at that moment, that's what I'm saying. They don't last very long. But so we don't bring outside controversy or any outside related topics into AA because we're all there for a specific reason, and that is to have our sobriety and know that that is where we go to have the relationship away from all of the outside issues like um, politics and religion and uh, all of those things that we can talk about outside. It's just, I hear about it enough outside AA. I don't want to bring it inside. I want to talk about something totally different because you hear about it enough. Um, so yeah, going to AA and not having the outside issues brought in is a positive in so many ways because you already have that going on all week long. You hear about it all day, all week, and you just want to have that time where you're not listening to something about that. And that's what we have at AA, and that is nothing to do with outside issues. And it's great because we can talk about our alcoholism, we can talk about our week in how we made it through the week of staying sober and the things we went through for that week. Now, before the the world changed and we couldn't go to meetings, a lot of people found themselves back out. Um, and some have not come back. Um, but that's what happens when you don't have that group setting and things change in your life and it's drastic and you don't have that meeting that you can go to. It's hard. Um, Now I did make it through that time sober. I'm still sober, but for others, it it's really really hard to deal with life on its own, and then you have life things happen, and that can sometimes be a trigger, and that could be like, okay, well, I'm going back out, to deal and cope with this. Not everybody is able to say, no, I'm not doing that. Yes, Lily, that's exactly right. The outside issues have nothing to do with us in AA meetings. We don't need to argue about those topics in a meeting. We're all just getting to the meeting, because obviously we think we need to go to one. But the same reason I decided to start doing the AA meetings here online is because not everybody can make it to a meeting. Not everybody has a way to get to a meeting. And some aren't in good enough health to be able to get to a meeting. And those are reasons why I decided to do these meetings. That and I want to share my journey of sobriety. And it's not always been easy. I don't claim that it has been easy. It's been really hard, especially the beginning. Now that I'm 9 years sober, it's gotten a lot easier because I don't want to go back to who I was before. Believe me, I remember that person. I don't miss that person at all. So, but sober is life. rather than being out there booze hounding it, not knowing what I was doing, acting a fool. And I don't pass judgment on those who still drink. That's not my place. It's not my issue. I do get frustrated with it, with people, but still not my issue, not my problem, not my issue. I just want them to get that help because there is a lot of help. Um, but we have one more, or two more steps. Two more, 11, no, yeah, 11 and 12. And then I might start reading something off of the Alcoholics Anonymous app that I've got on my phone. But that's it for the meeting today. It's been a really short one because that reading was very, very short. Yeah. So I hope everybody has a wonderful Saturday and stay sober. Remember your birthday, and every day of sobriety is worth it. Even on those hard days, it's worth it. Completely worth it. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, wonderful weekend. I love you and be safe.